Every night, a 95-pound Doberman named Copper walked into a baby's room, lay down across the doorway, and refused to move until the little girl was fast asleep. The family thought it was the sweetest habit they had ever seen. Then, on a Tuesday at 2:43 in the morning, Copper broke his own routine for the very first time. And what he did next is the only reason a baby named Nora is alive today. Lauren Pierce never wanted a dog that big. She was 31, a labor and delivery nurse, living with her husband Daniel in the quiet cul-de-sac in Thousand Oaks, California, the kind of neighborhood where everyone waved and nobody locked their doors. Their life was calm, ordered, almost too quiet, and Lauren told herself she liked it that way. Then came the drive home that changed everything. It was a Sunday evening in late autumn. Lauren was coming back from a double shift, heading north on the 101, when her headlights caught something on the shoulder near the West Lake Boulevard exit. At first, she thought it was a deer. She slowed down. It wasn't a deer. It was a dog, a massive rust-colored Doberman chained to a guardrail post, sitting perfectly still in the cold, watching the cars fly past without stopping. Someone had left him there, chained, a turned-over bowl beside him and a note taped to the post with only 2 words on it: too much. Lauren pulled over. She shouldn't have. A 95-pound Doberman on the side of a highway at night is exactly the thing a smart person drives past. But she couldn't. She walked toward him slowly, bracing for a growl, a lunge, anything. Instead, the dog lowered his enormous head, pressed it against her knee, and let out a single broken sigh, like he had been waiting for someone. Anyone. She named him Copper for the color of his coat under the streetlights. Daniel was not thrilled. A Doberman that size, with a past they couldn't know, in a house where they were trying to start a family? The man 2 doors down, a retired contractor named Gary, said it plainly over the fence one morning. "That dog will turn on you. They always do. You watch." But Copper didn't turn on anyone. He followed Lauren from room to room. He learned the sound of Daniel's truck and met it at the door every evening. And slowly, the too-quiet house started to feel like a home. Then Lauren found out she was pregnant. Everyone warned them. The internet warned them. Daniel's own mother called and begged them to rehome the dog before the baby came. "A Doberman and a newborn," she said. "You are asking for a tragedy." But something happened the day Lauren came back from her first ultrasound. Copper walked up to her, sniffed gently at her stomach, and then lay down across her feet and didn't move for an hour. From that day on, wherever Lauren's belly went, Copper went too. I see you're still watching but haven't subscribed yet. That stings a little. Hit subscribe. You'll want to see how this night ends. Nora arrived on a rainy Thursday in March, 3 weeks early, 5 pounds and 11 ounces, smaller than anything Lauren had ever held. They carried her through the front door in a car seat, terrified and exhausted and completely in love. Copper was waiting in the hallway. He didn't jump, he didn't bark. He walked to the car seat, lowered his nose to the edge of the blanket, breathed her in for 4 full seconds, and sat down. And from that moment, he appointed himself to a job nobody had given him. Every single night, the same thing happened. The moment Lauren carried Nora toward the nursery, Copper got up and followed. He walked into the room ahead of them, circled once, and lay down across the doorway, facing the crib. And he would not move, not when Daniel called him for dinner, not when his squeaky toy was tossed down the hall. He stayed, eyes half open, watching that crib until Nora's breathing slowed and went soft and steady. Only then, only once she was truly asleep, would Copper stand, stretch, and pad quietly out to his own bed. There was a rhythm to it the whole house came to depend on. Bath, bottle, the soft click of the nursery lamp, and then the click of Copper's nails on the hardwood as he took his place in the doorway. Lauren used to stand in the hall and watch the two of them, this tiny 5-pound girl and this 100-pound dog who looked like he was carved out of muscle and warning, breathing in the same slow rhythm in the dark. She would think sometimes about the note on that guardrail. Too much. And she would shake her head because the truth was the exact opposite. There had never been enough of him to go around, until now. As the months passed, the bond only deepened. Nora's first laugh came at Copper, the morning his tail thumped the floor beside her bouncer, and she shrieked with joy. Her first word wasn't mama, and it wasn't dada. It was something closer to pup, wheezed out with both hands reaching for him. And Copper learned her cries the way a parent does. The hungry cry, he let the humans handle. The tired, fussy cry, he ignored. But the sharp, frightened cry, the one that meant something was genuinely wrong, brought him off his feet and into that room before Lauren could even sit up in bed. If that just made you smile, you already understand the kind of love we are talking about. And Copper had his quirks. There was a stuffed giraffe, Nora's favorite, a ridiculous thing covered in rainbow spots, and Copper decided early on that the giraffe belonged in the nursery at bedtime. No exceptions. If anyone left it in the living room, he would find it, pick it up with the gentleness of a dog carrying an egg, and march it down the hall to the crib. One night, Daniel hid the giraffe in a kitchen drawer just to see what would happen. Copper sat in front of that drawer and stared at it, unblinking, for 40 minutes until Daniel gave up and handed it over. A 95-pound Doberman, undefeated, in a standoff with a kitchen cabinet over a toy giraffe. By the time Nora started crawling, Copper had given himself a second job. He became a kind of furry guardrail. When she pulled herself up on the coffee table and wobbled, he was right there, broad and steady as a sofa, for her to grab a fistful of fur and catch her balance. When she crawled toward the stairs, he lay down across the bottom step and would not move. Daniel started calling him the seatbelt. Still, Lauren didn't have a word for what he really was. Lauren posted a 10-second clip of the giraffe standoff online once, half as a joke. Her whole family passed it around for a week. Nobody who saw it was afraid of Copper after that. That was the thing about him. He kept changing minds without ever trying. The neighbors noticed the change too. Gary, the man who swore the dog would turn, started leaving a second cup of coffee on his porch rail on Sunday mornings just so he could ask how Nora and that good boy were doing. Nobody crossed the street anymore when Copper walked by. The most feared-looking dog on the block had quietly become its most trusted. But here's what none of them knew yet. Copper's nightly routine was not just sweet, it was precise, it was a system, and it never ever broke. Until one night it did. It was a Tuesday in May. Nora was 8 months old. Lauren and Daniel went to bed at 11, worn out, with Nora down for the night and Copper at his post by the nursery door, same as always. At 2:43 in the morning, Lauren woke up, not to a bark, to the absence of something. The house felt wrong. She lay there a second, trying to name it, and then she realized it. Copper wasn't in his bed at the foot of the stairs. He had never come down. In 14 months, Copper had never once broken the pattern. He settled when Nora settled, every single night without fail. For him to be up at this hour away from his bed meant something Lauren did not want to think about. She got up. The hardwood was cold under her feet, the hallway was dark, and the closer she got to the nursery, the louder a low, broken sound became. Copper was still in the doorway, but he wasn't lying down. He was standing, rigid, his whole body trembling, staring into the crib and making that sound she had never heard from him before. Not a growl, something closer to a cry. When Lauren stepped toward the crib, he didn't move aside the way he always did. He pressed against her leg, pushing her forward, faster. Nora was burning. Her skin was hot and dry, her little body limp, her breathing fast and shallow. Lauren had been a nurse for 9 years. She knew in 1 second flat exactly what she was looking at and exactly how little time they had. A fever climbing that fast in an infant this small could tip into a seizure within minutes. They were in the car before Daniel was even fully awake. Lauren held Nora against her chest in the backseat the whole way, talking to her in a low, steady voice. The streetlights of Thousand Oaks sliding across the windshield in long yellow streaks, and Copper stood in the driveway and watched the taillights vanish toward the hospital, the same way he had once watched cars fly past him on the shoulder of the 101. Except this time, he wasn't waiting to be rescued. He was waiting to find out if she would be. At Los Robles Medical Center, the doctors moved fast. A sudden, severe infection, the kind that spikes a fever out of nowhere. The attending physician told Lauren and Daniel something they would never forget. Another hour, he said, and this would have been a very different night. You caught it just in time. Lauren sat in that waiting room at 4 in the morning, still in the sweatshirt she had thrown on in the dark, and she thought about all the people who had warned her, the neighbors, the internet, Daniel's own mother. Every one of them had looked at Copper and seen a threat to her child, and not one of them had been standing in that hallway tonight. But they hadn't caught it. Copper had. The dog who had kept the same perfect routine for 8 straight months broke it for the first time ever because he knew before any thermometer, before any monitor, before 2 trained adults asleep down the hall, that the baby he had guarded every night of her life was in trouble. When they finally brought Nora home, healthy, 3 days later, Daniel did something he had never done. He sat down on the kitchen floor next to Copper, wrapped both arms around that 95-pound neck, and cried into his fur. "You were never too much," he whispered. "You were exactly enough." Copper leaned into him and sighed, that same broken sigh from the side of the highway, except this time it sounded like relief. For a long time, none of them said anything. They just sat there on the kitchen floor, the three of them, the way a family does after almost losing one of its own. Some stories are too good to keep to yourself, and this is one of them. Today, Nora is 2. Copper is 6, with a little gray coming in around that rust-colored muzzle. He still walks her to bed every night. He still lies across the doorway. He still will not move until she is fast asleep. And the rainbow giraffe still gets escorted to the crib every single night by the most loyal bodyguard a little girl could ask for. People look at a Doberman and see something to fear, a weapon, a warning. They almost never see what Lauren saw on the shoulder of a highway, a dog someone had called too much, just waiting for the one person who would finally call him enough. And if a dog ever breaks his own routine to get your attention, don't brush it off. They notice what we miss. Trust them, because sometimes the ones the world throws away are the very ones who show up at 2:43 in the morning when everyone else is asleep and refuse to leave until you are safe. So be honest with me. Would you have pulled over on that highway for a 95-pound Doberman someone chained up and called too much? Or would you have kept driving like everyone else? Tell me in the comments.